Tonight on CTV News, a fatal collision in Hornby has left a cyclist dead. Fire investigators are being kept busy as another red-zoned building goes up in flames. And Christchurch's children are enjoying the coolest festival to come to the Garden City. This is CTV News. I'm Grant Mangan. A cyclist is dead after a collision with a truck in Hornby this afternoon. Marcus Gibbs was at the scene.
It was never going to end well, this PBT truck colliding with a cyclist on the corner of Waterloo and Carman roads. During busy lunch hour traffic, the male cyclist, aged in his mid-30s, was killed when the truck allegedly turned into his path at the intersection.
Basically, the truck has run over the cyclist and it was a fatal accident, unfortunately.
Wedged between the wheels, the mangled remains of his bike and a body lying a short distance away underneath a tarpaulin.
It's just the nature of it with such a large vehicle that always come off second best.
Around a dozen police spent the afternoon investigating the accident. Motorists were urged to stay away, while the police blocked off the road and detoured traffic.
At this stage, there was an investigation being carried out by the Serious Crash Unit and police investigative units, and can't say at this time what was the cause or fault at this point. Staff
were spotted taking photos of the truck, bike and body of the cyclist. Police interviewed the driver of the truck and have also spoken to witnesses at the scene. The nearby petrol station and Burger King were both busy at the time of the crash.
A huge number of pedestrians and traffic in the area, so you had a very busy intersection at a busy time.
This is the second death on Christchurch's roads this year. A student nurse was killed on Lincoln Road in August. Last year, 3 cyclists were killed. Between January and May this year, 47 cyclists were injured on the city's roads. Further details will be released when next of kin have been informed. The death has been referred to the coroner. Marcus Gibbs, CTV News.
Another arson in the red zone over the weekend is keeping the city's fire investigators busy.
Police and fire investigators are treating a house fire of a Sumner red zone property as suspicious.
The dwelling obviously had been severely damaged in the earthquakes, so it wasn't occupied and there was no power supply onto it. So at this stage, the only likely cause is deliberate.
4 fire crews were called to the blaze at 6 a.m. this morning. Unable to save the home, the unoccupied property was pulled down by demolition crews this afternoon. The Sumner home, the latest in a line of arson attacks on red zone homes.
They seem to be, if you will, a little bit targeted because obviously they're not occupied, and in some areas the dwellings around them, if there are in fact still dwellings around them, aren't occupied either.
The Canterbury Earthquake Recovery Authority has demolished almost 5,500 red zone properties, with 967 scheduled to be torn down this year. Sarah says they're combating arson and criminal behaviour in red zone areas with 24-hour security patrols and electronic surveillance tools. Local fire crews were kept busy over the weekend, attending to a large house fire in Aranui, where one person was hospitalised for smoke inhalation, and an Island residential property caught fire following a stovetop fire. Emma Cropper, CTV News.
Christchurch Police remembered their fallen officers today. Emma Cropper was there.
Honouring the lives of local policemen killed in the line of duty. Dozens of colleagues, friends and family paraded through the city, paying tribute to the 29 men who never returned home from work.
We recognise their families who grew up without a father, their wives and partners who lived their lives without whānau, and today we recognise them.
Remembering those who have paid the ultimate sacrifice during work.
Constable Frederick William Jordan died 8th of October 1941.
And when the names of the 29 slain policemen were read out, the 2 Ashburton Winds employees killed while working earlier this month weren't forgotten.
I think it's important to know that in a time of crisis that we stand shoulder to shoulder.
The distinct difference at this year's service, the strong female presence lined up to pay their respects.
I think it was pretty neat to see that the majority of the crowd were women, and that probably shows the diversity of our district we were hoping to head. and it's probably in my 37 years, it's the most women I've ever seen come to a Remembrance Day, which is women fantastic.
Since records began in 1886, police across New Zealand, Australia and the South Pacific have remembered the lives of past police officers. Always falling on the 29th of September, the feast day of Archangel Michael, the patron saint of the police. But with more than a century of men being killed on the job, police believe the force is becoming safer.
Oh, I think it's a lot safer. Look, some of those stories that when you go back and look in history, those guys basically had very little weaponry in terms of what we've got today, and also we have a lot more things we can do.
Hoping that list of 29 men won't become any longer. Emma Cropper, CTV News.
CPIT has given away $30,000 in community funding, including an initiative to reduce the dumping of unwanted dogs.
CPIT's Time to Give community funding program launched earlier in the year. CPIT received 17 applications for funding and over 160 staff voted for what organisations they would like to see supported. Canterbury SPCA received $10,000 to educate dog owners about responsible dog ownership through community centre open days, leaflets and providing free microchipping and desexing. SPCA Canterbury Chief Executive Officer Barry Hallam says Christchurch has a raft of community dog issues, including strays on the streets, sick and injured dogs, dumping of unwanted dogs and abuse and neglect. He says without intervention and prevention, these problems are growing. Barry Hallam believes educating people about dogs and desexing dogs will reduce the number of strays on the streets, minimise unwanted litters of puppies being dumped, and therefore reduce dog neglect and abuse citywide. The program is being run in conjunction with the Christchurch City Council Animal Control and Housing New Zealand. The first SPCA Community Centre drop-in clinic will be open next Tuesday from 1 to 3 p.m. at the Aranui Heartland Service Centre in Hampshire Street.
As earthquake stress levels spike, the number of women and children seeking help from domestic violence is growing. The Battered Women's Trust is worried there are not enough beds available for women in need.
Christchurch's accommodation shortage is taking its toll on women's refuges. Despite never turning anyone away, the Battered Women's Trust has been too full to take people in. The Trust's manager, Lois Herbert, says she's currently dealing with more than 50 women in abusive relationships a week.
It's been made worse by the lack of housing. So for women who need to escape their situation, there are no alternative housing possibilities for them. So what's happening is that people are staying in relationships for longer.
The average length of stay at the Trust shelter has almost tripled since 2011. Figures from Child, Youth and Family show in 2009 more than 1,100 cases were reported. By last year, more than 1,600 Canterbury women had reported substantiated abuse.
It's a major issue and it's an ongoing, and in the foreseeable future, it's an issue that we have to bend our minds to. And I think the only way to resolve it actually is for all of the agencies and people, government departments and NGOs to work together.
With demand so high following the earthquake, many women are unable to find suitable accommodation or afford Christchurch's high rental prices.
When they do come into our safe house, they're staying much longer, at least twice as long as previously, sometimes up to 3 months, just because there's nowhere else for them to go.
More than 100 women use the safe house each year, but they're struggling to accommodate them all. Following the earthquake, space has been scarce after the shelter's 5-bedroom home was demolished.
After 3 months of not having a house, we finally got one, but it's only got 2 family rooms and 1 single room. So we've basically halved, the number of beds that we've got.
The Trust has spent thousands of dollars a year paying for accommodation at motels, but the housing shortage hasn't been the only factor. Post-quake stress has been causing added conflict at home, which is why the Trust is seeing more cases. Lois Herbert believes some areas in the rebuild have slowed down, adding stress to tradesmen.
There's a factor that enables, that means that stress becomes more of a problem, and I think for some people, they've had enough now. You feel that the resilience that Canterbury people had, so noticeably at the beginning, that's gone, and people are tired of coping with things.
Lois is hoping the pressure will ease off. At the end of October, they're moving into a new 5-bedroom home. Emma Cropper, CTV News.
Coming up, Ice Fest is here.
G'day, this is Fletch, your presenter of the TV show Classic Restos. It's the show where it's your chance to see completed restorations being shown, driven and enjoyed.
Avoid the monkeys when it comes to relocating. Trust A1 Movers, a family business since 1993 that guarantees a professional job every time. We carefully handle and wrap your valued items, ensuring they have a safe journey. Secure storage and insurance options are also available.
A1 Movers, the careful, caring moving company. Oi!
My son's helped me greatly with my independence now that I've got more mobility.
Mum, I've been looking into stand assist chairs from More Mobility. They recline back with a footrest, then when you want to get out of them, they stand you up. You can even sleep on them. More Mobility can bring one out for a free trial. There's even electric beds too. What do you think? For more range and more expert advice, see More Mobility, corner Clarence and Princess Streets off Blenheim Road.
What a difference more mobility makes.
Looking for that perfect gift for a loved one? Wanting to add some vibrance to your home, or just looking to brighten up your workplace? No matter the occasion, the Hitching Post has something for everyone. Lose yourself in their extensive range of homeware, art, glass and plasma cut metalwork. The Hitching Post is your one-stop shop for great style and quality. So come on down to the Hitching Post, 722 Marshland Road.
For news, views and local stories, the Christchurch Star.
Let's face it, everyone has an agenda. And guess what? So do I. Every week, I'll pick 3 stories that grab my attention. Agenda with me, Brent Goff.
Police aren't taking threats to work and income staff lightly after a vicious attack earlier this month. The Ashburton shooting left 2 people dead and another injured. Police are now working with Christchurch-based work and income staff in relation to 2 complaints about a man last week. Police believe the risk level associated with this person is low, however they're not ruling out any future risk. In a statement, police have repeated that they're taking any threats to work and income staff seriously, and anyone making threats will be dealt with severely. It's the first day of the school holidays, if you hadn't noticed, and Ice Fest is buzzing with excited children.
Ice Fest has just begun. The children are getting stuck in, learning about Antarctica and loving it.
It's a really fun place where you can find lots of cool things and learn about Antarctica. It's really cold and there's penguins and seals and poles and there's icebergs.
Among the kids, only a few of them want to move to the icy continent. One boy said it was too windy and cold for him. This young boy says he will go just to look after the penguins. He's also loving the Ice Fest time tunnel, a container filled with history.
The solar systems are really cold and other kinds of animals live in there.
Amy Mitchell from the Ice Fest events production team says the response from the kids so far has been fantastic. The events for both children and adults at Ice Fest is about educating others about Antarctica.
And raising people's awareness about climate change and, specific issues that Antarctica faces.
The parents are overjoyed too.
Oh, it's fantastic. Anything that's, free and outside and you get to be a part of downtown around Christchurch, which is nice again, and there's lots for them to see and do, and it seems to cater for a lot of ages, so it's good.
From making material snowmen to taking photos in the booth, there's lots for children to do at the Ice Festival.
Well, we've just had our photos taken, which is fun. They've seen the exhibit, which we've kind of raced through because we had a little one, but they love the curling with the blocks of ice that kept them entertained.
For kids of all ages, this little guy has just been having his turn ice curling.
I just throwed it really far and into the target.
Opened on Saturday morning, this is only IceFest's third day open and the first day of the school holidays. This young girl loves all the festival has to offer so far.
All the things in the passport, there's an IceFest time tunnel, and I don't know the other ones.
And what's in your hand?
Well, my leader's photos, which you can get from the photo booth over there.
She says she wants to go to Antarctica just to meet the blue penguins. The 2-week festival focuses on New Zealand's relationship with Antarctica and the Southern Ocean. Amy Mitchell from the IceFest events production team says beginning to educate children on climate change will prepare them for a cleaner future.
I think it's very important. We are in a changing world where climate change is a big issue, and if we can bring it to the forefront of the children's mind, then they may grow up doing different things than we've originally learnt in the past.
IceFest is being held at Cathedral Square and runs until the 12th of October. Joel Batista, CTV News.
A Canterbury tourism leader is hoping direct flights from China to Christchurch will boost travellers coming to the region.
Hoping to boost tourism with a direct flight from China to Christchurch.
We've been in China twice this year to talk to China Southern Airlines, who are now operating twice daily into Auckland. So we think it's time for the South Island to get a share of the action.
Chinese tourists have been flooding New Zealand in the past 18 months. The international visitors coming into Christchurch has gone up by 50% in the past year, and the Chinese are spending more than 72% around the South Island.
Well, I think social media's had a lot to do with it. They've looked at New Zealand, they've looked at where all the best scenery is, and lakes, mountains, rivers, huge interest in farming and animals. We're really seeing a lot more self-drive Chinese we simply didn't have 2 years ago, and we think the social media has been a big part of that.
But a direct flight into the South Island could see those figures go up and meet the demand of travellers wanting to fly directly into the city.
We've got them to operate 3 charter flights in February direct into Christchurch, and we just keep talking it up, keep showing them the statistics that more and more Chinese are arriving directly into Christchurch.
More than 230 Chinese visitors were on board that direct flight from China, coming to celebrate the Chinese New Year in the South Island. Chinese General Consul Ji Zhejian is working to encourage local Chinese companies to set up the direct flight.
We are working very hard to encourage the Chinese companies, the carriers, to open direct flights between a certain point in China and Christchurch. We have made some progress, but we are still working on the difficulties.
But believes passengers wanting to travel between the two countries is what is stopping the flight.
As a carrier, they have to think about the profits margin. And there's still a lot of work to do to have more Chinese tourists coming, and also to encourage more New Zealanders to go to China. If we have enough number of passengers, of course, they will make up their mind to open the commercial flight.
It's hoped those charter flights earlier this year were a positive sign for the commercial flights to arrive in Christchurch. Emma Cropper, CTV News.
Still to come, we review the weekend sport and your regional weather.
Be immersed in the unique cultural highlights Germany has to offer every Tuesday night with Discover Germany. Tuesday at 7 p.m, right here on CTV.
Hi, I'm Caitlin, the naturopath here at Staywell Pharmacy.
Working with the pharmacist, I use herbal and nutritional medicine to recommend natural alternatives for your health. This can be to counteract any side effects of your medication, general health advice, or natural options for you and your family. I'm also available for consultations. So come in and see us at Staywell Pharmacy, 27 Shands Road, Hornby. Staywell Pharmacy, live well, stay well.
Welcome to Caltex Redwood. We're a family-owned business proudly supporting our local community. We're open 24/7 for fuel and shop goods, and we have an amazing team of people ready to help you. Save at least 6 cents per litre using AA Smart Fuel cards. We also offer great value on our LPG bottle fills. We have a full workshop and Bridgestone Tyre Centre. Our mechanics and tyre technicians will get your car sorted. Caltex Redwood. We're just down from St Bede's on Main North Road. Caltex Redwood. What drives you?
It's Blackwell's Holden Demolition Sale, with prices on selected demonstrators that'll blow you away. Cruise SRIV $31,990, Farina CDX $21,990, Captiva CX Diesel $39,990, Holden Spark $14,990, and Trax LTZ $31,990. The clock's ticking. These prices could blow any second. Call Blackwell's Holden Softburn today.
Come on down to Ferrymead Golf. Care for a game of paintball? How about some swings on the old driving range? Or on our par 3 9-hole golf course? Test your skills on the mini golf course or have a go at the airgun shooting range. Then relax at the Wow Cafe with one of our super succulent Wow Burgers. Whether you want to perfect your swing or are looking for a fun family day out, come down to Ferrymead Golf, 50 Ferrymead Park Drive, right next to the Ferrymead Heritage Park.
Drive It showcases the new arrivals to the motoring world, comparing and testing the latest models to discover which one is the best. Drive It, Sunday afternoons at 2:30, only on CTV.
Here's Gordon Findlater with a roundup of the weekend's sporting activities.
The return of Dan Carter wasn't enough for Canterbury to return to winning ways as the side fell to their second straight defeat in the space of 5 days yesterday when they went down 28-16 to Southland. Canterbury looked to get off to a bright start after a converted try and 2 Carter penalties helped put the side out to a 16-10 half-time lead. With Carter's day over after a 40-minute run, second half duties were taken over by Richie Mo'unga. A controversial penalty try in the 64th minute gave Canterbury a 28-16 lead, which would be the Red and Black's last points of the day. The Southerners crossed the line just 6 minutes later to get within a point and grab the momentum of the match. After a failed drop goal attempt just a minute earlier, it was Southland's Lima Sopawanga who gave his team the lead through a late penalty kick. Canterbury were given a chance to win the game with a penalty of their own in the final minute. However, Richie Mo'unga's attempt went wide to give Southland the win. After looking like running away with things, Canterbury now find themselves third in the standings and will need a win when they take on second place Tasman on Saturday if they want any hopes of a home final. To rugby league, where the Canterbury Bulls suffered their first loss of the season on Saturday when they took on last year's runners-up Counties Manukau. The 36-22 loss means that the Bulls now have to win their last match against the Northern Swords by a big margin as they look to improve their points differential as they have one competition loss along with Counties Manukau and Akarana. The weekend's Heartland Rugby Championship action has seen some movement in the competition leaders table, while Buller still lead the competition unbeaten after another win against Horowhenua Kapiti. Mid-Canterbury increased their chances of a Meads Cup defence, moving to 5th in the comp after a dominant 67-12 win over East Coast. Meanwhile, South Canterbury have dropped to 3rd after a tight 22-19 loss to North Otago in Dunedin. And finally to football, where Canterbury United continued their build-up to the National League competition yesterday, going down 6-2 against a near full-strength Wellington Phoenix side in Wellington. The match was the final hit-out for the Phoenix, who begin their Trans-Tasman A-League season against Perth on October 12th. While the match was also a chance for Canterbury to test themselves against strong opposition before their National League season opener against Waikato Bay of Plenty on November 1st. Canterbury's next pre-season match sees them take on defending champs Auckland City on October 11th at English Park. You're up to date with the latest in local sport. I'm Gordon Finlater for CTV Sport.
Each week we invite our viewers to suggest some music to accompany your regional weather. This track's entitled Clasp from Blonde's album Swisher. Now let's check out the weather around Canterbury.
Good evening, Canterbury. Let's take a look at your region's weather. Starting in Timaru, a low of 15 degrees. Temuka and Geraldine have hit one of the region's highs on 17. Methven and Ashburton hitting a mild day of 15 degrees. Rakaia, the same goes for you, 15. Looking now at Darfield, 15 degrees. Leeston and Ralston slightly cooler on 14. Lincoln and Christchurch, a sunny but cool day for you, hitting a high of 14. Heading over to Akaroa, they had a mild day of 14. Heading across the Waimakariri district, Rangiora, Kaipoi and Amberley were slightly warmer, hitting 15. Taking out the region's high of 17 degrees was Culverden, Hanmer Springs and Cheviot. At the very top with the region's low was Kaikoura with a high of 13. But what's in store for tomorrow? In Timaru, mostly fine and sunny with moderate northeasterly winds, hitting an overnight low of 4 and a high of 15 degrees. Ashburton, it looks like a fine clear Tuesday ahead with northeasterlies developing. 3 degrees overnight and a high of 15 throughout the day. Christchurch, more fine weather with lots of sunshine and a typically spring-like northeasterly breeze, hitting an overnight low of 4 and a high of 15 degrees. Kaikoura, clear skies and the usual northeasterly breezes make for a great Tuesday in Kaikoura. In Kaikoura, clear skies and the usual northeasterly breezes make for a great Tuesday for you. 4 degrees overnight with a high of 15. And in other areas around the region, Temuka and Geraldine a high of 17 and low of 3. Methven expect a high of 16 with fine weather, same for Rakaia but with a high of 15. Darfield hitting a high of 16, Leeston and Ralston a high of 15. Looking now at Akaroa, a high of 15 degrees and overnight low of 4. Rangiora, Kaipoi and Amberley a high of 16 degrees, fine for most parts of the day. Culverden, Hanmer Springs and Cheviot expect the region's high of 17 degrees with an overnight low of 3. And looking ahead for what's in store for the rest of Canterbury. Fine and sunny with fresh breezy northeasterlies again on Wednesday. High cloud increasing and mild temperatures on Thursday with light to moderate northerly winds. Cloud increasing on Friday morning with westerly winds dying out. Then some showers likely during the afternoon. A risk of some thunderstorms and hail. Expect winds tending moderate southwesterly and becoming cooler. Changeable on Saturday and Sunday with weather mostly fine but some periods of cloud may bring brief showers. Expect it to be cold with fresh gusty west to southwesterly winds. And that's all for your region's weather. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
And that is CTV News for Monday. I'm Grant Mangan. Good night.
supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.